and I will present here. So, I'm going to share this with you. And please make a copy. It's being slow. So I say it 100 times, if you're using a Jamboard, always start by making a copy. And edit, okay, copy the link. And I'll also show probably tomorrow, I think we will, using Google, for if you're doing whole group, Google Slides works better than Jamboard. But I'll show that tomorrow. So here we go. I'm going to ask you, or here, let's just look through some of the frames I have since we're here. This is with Charlie, the student, and we work with vowels, and I ask the student to identify vowel sounds because this is an area that a lot of kids have issue with. And I will do where I introduce, and then I ask the student to find it, right, and then produce it, and then I will do work where I will say a word and the student has to find which sound is in that word. So here, for instance, Lori, if you're here on frame 1 and you're my student, I would say the word, I would start out with just the pure sound. The sound is ah. Which vowel did I use? And can you move it down, please? When I have small groups.
Sorry, mine is still.
Okay, whoever's here, Kayleen, go ahead and find the sound ah and move it down. Fine. Whoever's there.
I'm there, but it's loading right now. All I see is the top, Charlie Jam.
Oh, so make yourself a copy if you're going to use it. But, okay, whoever's there, find the sound ah and bring it down, please, using the select tool that looks like an arrow. Thank you very much. So I'll start with just using the sounds. Then I'll do in very small words, like the word is on. Which vowel sound did I use in on? You hear that sound? And look at my mouth. On. Which vowel sound is that? Good job. So from individual sounds to sounds in very, very short words to then CVC words and then words with blends. So now, you know, if we're okay with hearing the sound in a 2-sound word, I might go to the word is cut. What sound did I say in cut? And I put it in the CVC. Somebody move down the sound for cut. Anybody? Thank you. And then if we're okay at the CVC level, then I'll start introducing it in blends. The word is swim. Swim. What's the vowel sound I used in swim? Look at my teeth. My teeth are right close together. Swim. Good job. So vowel work is really important because vowels are what kids mess up on most. So this is one thing I have in this jam. Sorry, we were trying to get to the phonemic manipulation. We'll get there. But I might as well show you what I have here. And I have a couple of pages of that. This page with the blocks, I'm not there yet with this student. She is not able to work with blocks yet. Well, let me take that back. We are working at 2 sounds with blocks. She's able to do more sounds with greater scaffolding, but if it's just the block, she's only able to do 2 sounds. And so I will have to do, moving these up. And whoever's in here, one of you gets to be my student. Whoever's already loaded, let's build the word on. On. So for each sound I said, bring down one of the blocks. Who's up there? Lori, are you loaded? Or Bernie? Jackie, any of you functional yet? Very good. Odds, right? Excellent. We have two sounds in the word on. Now, let's say this, what was the sound? What was this sound? Excellent job. This sound was what? This sound is, and the sound is, now listen to me. I want to change this to in. In. Which one am I going to change? You're right, I don't need that sound anymore. And we get to put in a new sound. So now I have in, in. So in a lot of, like the way Kilpatrick has his exercises laid out, he tells the student what sound to change. Often it's easier when you're using manipulatives to tell the student what you want to end up with and have the student find the change. Do you understand the difference? So the way it looks like you Kilpatrick's exercises, right now we have, what was our word? In. We have in. Now I want to change the n to a t. Who can do that for me? Let's change the n to a t. And whoever's in there, can you change the n and put in a t? Okay. And what's our new word? Right. I'm hoping somebody's saying it. So this student is only able to manipulate two sounds at this level of scaffolding. So whether or not I give the sound to change and they produce the word, or whether I give the word and ask them to find the change. So do you see the complementary? There's actually two different tasks. And they work differently in your brain. And I, try to do both. Okay. So this student is only able to do two sounds at this level of scaffolding. So if we go on, and the colored blocks, I get the color blocks by doing add an image and just put in the, when I get add an image, and it's being very slow, I have too many things running, I think. Too many people in here. So it works pretty quick if I do it ahead of time. So I just do the image search and I want orange. So I love the image searches. Remember how long it used to take to find images that you would put into your worksheets? This just makes it so fast. And it's way faster when I don't have people in it with me at the same time. Okay, so now I've got another box. So you can do image searches and put in things. So, when I put in the cup and the cake and the whatever, super fast with that Google image search. It's really nice. Okay. So that's how I would use this, using the blocks and have it interactive. So now let me just show you quickly what I would do in small group. Using this expand bar, I'm going to duplicate this a couple of times. And let's see, Jackie, could you go to page 4? Is yours working, Jackie? And Bernie, go to page or frame number 6 or 7, whatever, you're on 7. And Kayleen, go to 6, and Lori, go to 5. So right now, those of you are actually in the jam, pop over to the meet so you can see what I see. for just a second. So Kayleen, what number did I say for you? Kayleen, could you join me could you go to 6?
It's 6.
I think you're on 8 right now. And
Oh.
Lori, could you go to 7? So I'm putting my students on the different pages so I can tell them which page to go to, if I've taught them how to manipulate the Jamboard. So can you see, if you're looking at the Meet right now, can you see that I can see the different students on their different pages? Lori, I don't see you. Where'd you go? Okay, Lori, go to page 7, please. There we go. Jackie, can you go to screen number 5? And then everyone pop over to the Meet and you can see what I see as the teacher. Okay. So are you seeing this, that I expand here and I can see all my students? So you 4 stay on those frames, and anyone else, you can just watch or you can come back and watch. Okay, so let's everyone build the word using what you have there. Build the word cat using your boxes. Build the word cat.
Okay.
Good job, Kayleen. You've identified 3 sounds. Did you say it as you built it? I didn't hear you. Good job, Lori. I see that you've got all 3 sounds. You see, I can see what my students are doing here. Jackie, are you there? And
I'm here, but I'm lost.
And Sabrina, could I have you build the word cat on frame number 4? You're on frame 4 right now. You have all the sounds we need for cat. Do you hear me? Cat. Excellent job. And Jackie, is yours not working? So use the arrow tool. Sorry, have you used Jamboard? I didn't even get to teach any of that. I just assumed it.
I'm not sure what the colors are indicating. I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. They are indicating
okay.
sounds in the word cat. What's the first sound you hear? And then the second sound, and then another sound. Doesn't matter what color. I'm just seeing that you have found the correct number of sounds. Okay, good job. Now, everybody, we have the word cat. We want to change the k to a p. Change your k to a p and tell me what your new word is. And I can see the movement happening. Good job, Lori. Excellent. Good job. Nice job. I can see the work happening here as I look at my screen in the expanded view. I see everybody's, what they're doing. I can see 5 students at a time. So this is why 5 students small group works best, because if I go to 6, I have to just kind of go back and forth to see everybody. If I'm doing 6, I go to Google Slides work because I can see many in Google Slides. But for small groups of 4 or 5, up to 5, this works really well for doing this, and I can see the action. Everyone see how I can do that here? So I told you what sound to change. What was the word we ended up with? Pat. Okay. So now I want to change Pat. So remember, now, the first time I gave you the sound to change, and you told me you found where that sound was and you changed it and told me the new word. Now I'm going to do the reverse operation. We have the word pat, and I want to make the word hot. Hot. How can I make that change? Good job. Excellent listening. Very well done. Nice effort. And I can see that they have chosen they changed the middle sound here. Okay. And I can do this with 4 letters or however many, or 4 sounds or however many sounds when I'm just using sounds. And if I'm doing it with a sounds, like, okay, Clear your board and let's make the word camp. Camp. And I don't care what colors you use. We're just listening to the sounds. We're going to make the word camp. Nice job, Jackie, Kayleen. Good job, Lori. Excellent job. Everyone found the sounds in camp. Now, here's the trick. I want to take away the mm. What's my new word? You've all been able to identify where the sound was that were taken away. And hopefully this gave you representation. Lori, go ahead and say the word out loud.
Cap.
Excellent job. Okay. So this is using virtual manipulatives, just as we would use tiles on the table in front of a student, or counters or tokens or whatever we might use. So this is visual manipulatives. Okay. So this is one level of scaffolding. And where it's very abstract that the color is representing a sound. I can't do that. I couldn't have done that without starting at the very simple 2 letters where I, like for this student where I introduce this represents this sound, this represents this sound, which, point to this sound, point to that sound. Tell me what was this sound and what was that sound. So going through that whole process to make sure that we're solid. Okay. But this student is working at 2 sounds manipulating and not 4 sounds yet. But with greater levels of scaffolding, we're able to do more. And I would like, so I put up some tiles, some frames with all the letters, and that was too much for the student. It was too much. So then I went to frame number 12. So if you could go to frame 12, please. And now I'm on 12. And sometimes it helps if you just see my red icon with the E. And if you just tap on my red icon, you'll jump to where I am. Okay. Bernie, I think you're on 13. Could you go left to 12, please? Thank you. Okay, and I can see that everyone has joined me. So for this student, she needs a greater level of scaffolding. So I'm using the letters that she is fairly secure on. Fairly secure. When I use the letters, I am reinforcing the phonics, but my goal is to improve the phonemic manipulation skills. So I'm reinforcing phonics, and I'm working on phonemic skills. This is like the highest level of scaffolding, okay, where she's actually getting to look at the letters. And this is what she needs. But the nice thing is that she is getting it. She is getting it. So she built 4 sounds. She built 4 sounds, you can see here. And for her, I couldn't just say which sound changed or where is it. She has to physically move the sounds into its new position. So I'll say the word is, we built the word slip, and we want to make flip. Let's listen, say it with me. Flip. Which part changed? And she has to go, and she'll say, we'll go over the sounds. And I want to make, and she can identify the sounds now. She's able to segment the sounds, but she can't immediately just take away the S and put in the F. She'll say, oh, that one's the same. Oh, that's the same. And then she can look through and find the sound. She can't do it in one step yet, but the point is that she's getting better, and she is able to find the sounds. And so if I say, okay, great, and then she does it this way, and I'll say, okay, right now we have flip. We want to make flaw. Watch my mouth. Flaw. What change? And she'll say, it, and then she'll say, okay, that's the same. Ah. There. And then she can look through and say, oh, here we go. She needs a very high level of scaffolding, but she is starting to work with 4 sounds. 2 weeks ago, this was impossible. Right? But she's doing this now. Okay. And let's say, okay, now we have flop. We want to make glop. Glop. Because there was a glop of chocolate on my paper. It was so embarrassing. Glop. And she'll say, glop. We're going to make glop. And so she's, okay, I need that one. And then she can find it. So she is able to manipulate. She needs a very high level of scaffolding, but she is getting there so she can now hear these sounds. If I tell her to just make the word flag, she would do, as you said, Sabrina, she would do flag, right? And it's, okay, wait, I don't even want to say that one. I should have chosen a different word. I'm sorry. I'll say, wait, is that what I said? Let's listen again to what I said. And we talk about stretching, and some people use rubber bands to stretch. I talk about pulling at your bubble gum or speaking in slow motion. And most people have seen slow motion videos now. So I say, okay, let's do it in slow motion. Ready? Flag. You are slow motion talking. Flag. And kids somehow understand slow motion. And then she can find the sound there. Right, you found that sound that was hiding. It's there. Flag. So doing that slow motion or that stretching, or some people use their where they stretch it out. Here's our word. Now stretch that really far. Whatever visual that works with the student to get them to elongate the sounds in order to identify the sounds. Blends are the hardest. Blends are the hardest. And we try to do it in slow motion. Sabrina, what can you think of others that you know have given your kids trouble, or anyone?
We will be starting our blends, and that one's rough.
Ours are the hardest. Ours the hardest. Don't start with ours.
It's just following what's next in our wonders. That's why.
Okay, ours are the hardest because ours are very grabby, and you have DRs and TRs that we do not pronounce the way the letters represent. You know, it's difficult. I want to say we don't pronounce it correctly, but that's not the way we're supposed to say it now. It is not academic English. So you have the DR and people say dr, right? A drug or a drain. And I said, okay, that's the way you say it. I understand that you're hearing those sounds. There are no English words that have a j, r together. So if you're hearing yourself saying j, r, you have to think d, r. And same thing with truck and train. We say truck and train. So I tell them there are no English words where we have a ch, r. So if you hear yourself saying that, you have to think ch, r. And I'll do a silly thing with the kids, and I'll say, oh, I'm going to drive my truck out over to the train because I must load my trunk And, they laugh that she's speaking really funny. And I say, yeah, I don't talk that way either. But when I go to spell it, that's the way I have to think. And I have a treasure, in my trunk. And laughing helps memory. Oh, be silly. So if we had the STs and the SLs are much easier to identify, those blends. But if you're having to work on the R's and you have the word drag and the kid does this, the correction would be, you found a lot of the sounds. Good job. Let's listen to the sounds that you found. You found the d, ag. Oh, wait. D, dag, dag. Oh, did I say dag? Let's listen again to what I said. Drag. Let's say it in slow motion. Drag. Do you hear another sound in there? Let's find it. For this student, when we started working in blends, and she's able to do it now, but she needed additional scaffolding. It's like she could tell there was another sound there, but couldn't tell what the sound was. So I'll say, okay, we're going to play a guessing game. Here we go. Here are my choices. Which one? You can tell there's another sound in there. Which one is it? Listen again. Drag. Did I say p or l or n or r? And at this point, she was able to get it. Most kids can get it by just repeating the word, doing slow motion. This one needed additional limiting the choices. She could tell there was another sound there, but there were too many choices. So by limiting the choices, she was able to be successful. So she is being more successful with this, but this is the level of scaffolding she needs. And with any scaffolding, you provide as much scaffolding as they need, as much as they need it, and as little as possible. You take it away when you don't need it. And if you need to limit choices for them to be successful, we limit choices. So at this point, she could identify with those choices, she could identify that she did not hear a p or a l or a n in that word. She heard a r, and she was able to limit the choices. And I was wondering, okay, am I going to have to just give her 2 choices to choose from? Because she's about the lowest that we have to deal with. But she could hear it with 4 choices. She just seeing all of this, even though it's not all the letters of the alphabet, that was still too much for her.
Do you ever use nonsense words?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for my little ones, I tell them that I'm a queen, and in my queendom, these are very important words. And for my older kids or anyone who's like, oh, that's not a real word, I say, you know what? You are not going to just read words like cat and dog and drag and whatever words that you're dealing with. You're going to read these big, long, crazy, long words. And each of those words is made up of syllables, parts of the words that sound like nonsense. If I just say that syllable all by itself, it sounds like nonsense. But how are you going to read the long words if you can't read those portions? And this student, I was able to get her to build the word fantastic by building each. Like, okay, we're just building sounds. We built the sound pass, and she heard the sounds, and we built the sound fan, and we built the sound tick. And it's like, okay, now what did this one say? And what did this one say? And what did this one say? And then, we had it in order, and it's like, oh, did you hear what we just did? And it was fantastic. That's you. So task means nothing all by itself, but it was part of a longer word. And when we can boost their confidence, like, oh my goodness, I just spelled the word fantastic, it helps. Right? And that's what we know in education, is that success begets success. So the greatest motivator for work is success. And when kids feel dumb, they shut down. When kids feel successful, they work harder. So at wherever they are, when we can build them to success, they're willing to keep at it longer than if they were feeling unsuccessful. Right? Okay. So in phonemic manipulation, this student needs this level. This is a very high level of scaffolding with letters and one-to-one correspondence of letters and seeing letters and moving it. That's what this student needs. But she is manipulating 4 sounds now. With removing the scaffolding of the visual, she's able to manipulate only 2 sounds. So when I go to the blocks, she is not able to do it with no scaffolding at all. She can't. She's not there at just the phonological level, sound level. So meet them where they are, help them where they need to go. So can you see that at this level, so the point is phonemic manipulation, phonemic awareness and manipulation. But every time we do this, I'm reinforcing the phonics because she is not automatic with phonics yet. But I am reinforcing the phonics. So I'm kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I would like to get to, and I still try to spend some time at just the auditory level where we're just working with sounds without the letters, right? Well, for her, it's with the blocks. But this is very, very valuable because it is reinforcing the manipulation and the phonics at the same time. And this is what we need to do. This is what we do. Okay. So when I have groups, so I don't know if you noticed, like I had all the letters on frames 9, 10, 11 or whatever. I would have might have the group, like the firsties, work with those groups of letters and manipulate at that and watch them manipulate those sounds. Okay. Any questions on this or comments? Since I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and show you another thing that we have to work on. And we will talk about this more tomorrow, but it's here in this jam with this sweet child. So you can see on frame 14, this student has trouble with confusing letters. And I'd like to just take a second to talk about confusing letters. Confusing letters is developmentally appropriate for young kids. We actually like the fact that students have object permanence and they have object symmetry in young kids. When I show them this, can you see me? Stop for a second. When I show them this and they say it's a pen, and then I show it to them like this, has it changed? It's still a pen. And if I show it to them like this, it's still a pen. And if I show it to them like this, it's still a pen. It doesn't matter the orientation. We recognize it's a pen. And this is really important in the human brain. If you were to look at my face and you say, okay, that's Emily, and you see it this way, and then you look at it this way, you don't say, Who is that person? I've never seen that person before. The visual image is entirely different. One image has white on this side and a protrusion on this side. This image has the white entirely different place. Even though the visual image is very different, we recognize it as the same object or the same person. And remember when we talked about the brain, that the part that's used as the letter box that connects the sounds to the symbols is repurposed from what was used for facial recognition? So think of primitive cultures where facial recognition was so important. If you saw someone looking this way and you saw the same person looking that way, you still could say friend or foe, right? You didn't say that's an entirely different person. I've never seen that person before. We identified it as in that symmetry. It has to do with the brain's recognition of symmetry. We identified it as the same thing. But I take these squiggles here and I say, oh, that, well, the same as that, same as that. It's the same as if you could see the mirror, right? What the heck? It looks exactly the same. It's just from a different orientation. The fact that it a different purpose to the exact same things depending on the angle that we see it is only relevant for letters and numbers. Those squiggles have meaning entirely based on the orientation that we see it in. Same function no matter the orientation, right? Those squiggles, entirely different function depending on the orientation. One says b, one says p, one says d, one says qu, whatever. Entirely different function based on orientation. So that's very normal up through young kids. It's very normal, 6, 7. We want to teach them that it has different functions. And the easiest way to teach it is to orient it based on what's happening in their mouth and what they're seeing and hearing. So let me go back to here. Sorry, when I have so many screens and tabs open, trying to get the right one. Okay. When we're working with this, writing is directional. And we, in the English language, work left to right. And so I sit there and I draw an arrow. You can see I had to draw an arrow here. As we're going in this direction, what do you meet first in this letter? You see that you meet the circle first? Make your mouth into a circle. Say d, d. When you write it, write the circle first. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't care how the kid writes the letters. If we teach them explicitly how to write these letters, we have to reduce that confusing, that flipping, all of that reversals down dramatically. So make sure your students write your d with the circle first. D. Your mouth makes a circle. When you run into it, it's a circle. Write the circle. So reinforce all of that together. Circle first, and then up tall, drop it down. Sorry, I should be mirroring it. And we make, it has the circle first. Make your mouth into a circle. D. Come to it, come to it. Oh, another circle. Make your mouth into a circle again. D. Another circle. D. Now, between these two, you've made your mouth into a line. All you're going to have to remember is it the line down or the line up. So make your mouth into a line. This one's the line down. Your mouth has made the line. Your lips have made a line. You've run into the line. Write it with the line. And as I'm teaching writing, and we're going to talk more about handwriting tomorrow, as I teach the writing, and say letters that begin with a line start very close to the letter in front of it or very close to your, and draw the line. If you draw your line very close to what's in front of it, there's only one direction you can make your circle. Sorry, I'm using my cursor, not my pen on here. There's only one direction. You do not get the direction of which way do I draw it. So letters that begin with a line start very close to the letter in front of it, and there's only one direction to make that protrusion, belly. And same with the B. Letters that begin with the line start very close. So it begins, see, I run into the line, draw your line. Make your mouth into a line. Watch my mouth. B. Make your line. Letters that begin with a line start very close. There's only one way it can go. Okay. The D, circle, B. So I started with her with just the D and the B. And we identified it was a circle. Which sound is the circle? D. It was a line. Which sound is the line? B. So she would go through and say circle, D, line, B, as we would go through these. And now she's working on, instead of having to say circle, D, you can say she's noticing the circle and then saying D, and noticing the line and saying B. Now we've added in the P's, and that has not been much of an issue for her now that she's aware of circle and line. And I've seen this with many, 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 many students. And it is the highest rate of success of any of the strategies by combining what you see with the letter running into the line or the circle, what's happening with your mouth, what you do with your hand as you're writing it. Okay, combining all of that. And I know a lot of teachers teach make it bed, right? And bed, or I've seen teachers teach, the baby has a belly and it has a diaper or whatever. I forget what they say. And the diaper's on its derriere or whatever. I'm sorry, I know I'm mirroring it, so it should be belly and diaper. But I can tell you that works up in kindergarten and second grade and up. I have never seen a child want to put down their pen and do this in class while they're writing. No kid wants to do that. And when you have kids in 4th and 5th grade still with that issue, they refuse. They will not do it. Usually from 2nd grade on, they refuse to do that. It's like, that is embarrassing. But you'll see these kids and struggling kids, even, in the older grades, you'll see them go and then write the B and you can see they're trying to figure out what is their mouth doing, and then they'll write the D. Because they can do that unobtrusively in a classroom, wherever they are. They're not stopping their train of thought. That's the other thing, too. The least we do to interfere with their thought process, the better. Because if they're having to put something down and pick up their hands and do this, they've already forgotten what the sentence was that they were going to write. Because now they're having to think about this. But when it can happen and they write the B, and they can feel themselves making the circle, and then they write the D, you don't have that cognitive overload where they've lost their train of thought. They don't remember what they were going to write. So it is more efficient in correcting these. And that's our time for today. And we're going to go over other confusing letters. We're going to go over handwriting. We're going to go over practicing using this. And we're going to go over a larger group tomorrow, plus the phonics. So I know we have a lot to cover tomorrow. So I apologize that it always seems to take a long time to go through this, but laying that foundation is really important. And like we said yesterday, the why has to drive the how. So when we understand why these things are important, then we can use that to help us prioritize how we teach. Okay, so if you could unmute, and I know we're at our time, but if you are willing to stay a couple of more minutes and just unmute and just give any reflections as to what stood out to you and what you want to absolutely make sure that we cover as we go on, whether if you're just here tomorrow for the early grades or if you're also continuing for the later grades.
Well, I would like to say something.
Yes.
I see Charlie doing what you said she was doing. I see her doing this, and I'm watching from afar, and she's dropping the letters down. But the thing I notice about Charlie is that when you want to change a letter or remove something to replace, why she cannot remove the one you ask her to remove because it's an empty space. So she's got to just like leave it there, find that one, and then remove. Because when she sees an empty spot, it's wrong. I have to leave it there until I replace it, then move it. I've tried that in some of the sentence structure. And then when I say, well, just let me erase this if that's wrong, that's not right. That space needs to be, so she'll erase and bring the word to closer. And I says, okay, I feel you right now. So when we do something, if something's not right, I erase it for her because she'll start doing this. And then I say, I'll bring it closer to that to make it clear and put a period. She's better that way. So that space is what, and then when she has to do a recall, like flip, and then okay, then she'll say it all, then find that one, then move the other one away. So I go, okay, I see where you're coming from, but she gets what you're doing. She really does by doing all of it.
Yeah, it's helping her, and
Yes.
and she does take more scaffolding than most
Yes.
kids.
Yes. So I guess
And that's
that's what
okay.
we're doing, scaffolding as she needs it to feel successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we know though that the hard point is getting. Well, she'll do it while she's with
Yeah.
me. She'll do it while she's with you. Is we're going to work really hard to get her to transfer that to when
Yes.
she's working independently, and that is hard. And that takes a
Yes.
lot of success when she is working with someone
With
who's
someone.
giving.
Yes.
Yeah.
She feels
and it's going to.
confident. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be hard to transfer it to others. So I can see her. She can read some of these CVC words now with me.
Yes.
Well, but if I just show her the word, she'll
Yeah.
just go back to a strategy that was not working for her. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, wait.
Yes.
Let's
But
go
she'll
back to what
get
we
there.
know. But she'll get there.
Yeah,
Get
she'll
there.
get there.
Okay, anyone else?
Thank you.
And also, Chavez, what would you like to see, make sure that we do cover in the coming days?
Like
Anyone?
tomorrow, I'm just going to be here for tomorrow's one only.
Okay.
But for her, I give her the board, which is good. I think I'd like to use physical letters, so she
Okay.
can fly it, make her other sensories move while she's saying E out, fly it with her hand, left to right, right to left. Get that,
Okay.
Does
Okay.
lazy eights, you ever thought about lazy eights, 2 minutes of it or something before? No.
So crossovers.
Yes, yes.
Crossing midline. I've not
Yes.
had the time to investigate that with her, but I have seen kids. Honest to goodness, there's this one student, and we do air
Yeah.
writing. So using large motion, and he could not cross midline. And I asked the mom eventually, I said, have you noticed that he doesn't cross midline? And did he crawl? She says, he never crawled. But
Yeah.
I could say, right in the air, write a book, let's say. And he could do it from here.
Yes.
And I said, okay, I want you to bring your hand all the way over here and start with here and do it. He could not. Any letter. It didn't matter the letter.
Yeah.
He could do it when it was right here, but if he could not. It was like he didn't know how to move his hand. Yeah. And he could sit there and say he watched himself do it here, but moving it from here.
And drag it over.
Could
Yeah.
never. And so the mom, this is the most interesting thing. The mom said the father was super dyslexic too. The father used to
Wow.
write. Okay, admit. The father used to write this hand going this way to midline, pick up the pencil and complete the sentence. Here, pick up the pencil, complete the sentence. Like, oh my goodness. So yeah. So I've not had the time or the ability to do that with Charlie, but if you've noticed that the student does not cross midline, midline crossing exercises connects the portions.
Yeah. Only because of the space that was there, and she did it to me a couple times, and we had to slide it over. So I'm thinking, okay, sweetie, because of that midline for her. So once she got it going, then it was complete. But if there's a space, she's got to move it there. So that's what made me think of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Good.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I was just going to say I'm excited. I'm thinking of one student that I could do some of the Jamboard things with, because I know he's struggling, but Dad is always in the background anytime I try to read with him or do sounds with him, giving the answer. So I know he doesn't know it, but I'm not able to really see what is missing. So at least with the Jamboard, like I can at least see if he's touching the screen or somebody else is touching the screen. So I'm excited to try that with him, because I've been having a hard time.
Nice. And is there anything you want to make sure that we talk about tomorrow?
I guess just continuing to talking about the phonics. I think that's just good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else? Please.
No, it's fun. Fun. Great.
Bernie, how are you feeling? You've been really silent. Sorry.
I like how you use the multisensory with the vowels, 2 fingers in the mouth, one with the eh. And it also helps, like you said, with the writing. I noticed some students have a hard time with writing. So using that multi-sensory, I thought that was really neat.
Thank you, Kayleen. Yeah, and we will talk more about letter formations and whether or not we should spend much time with it at various levels tomorrow.
Okay.
Jackie, Bernie, Lori, Connie, anyone else?
Sorry, my computer died, so I'm trying it from my phone.
Okay. At least what stood out to you today, if anything?
I just had a question about the Jamboard and the difference between manipulating on the computer the letters already on the Jamboard and using a whiteboard and having the student write the letters themselves. Like if I say the word is cat and we sound it out individually and I have them write it on the whiteboard versus manipulating on a Jamboard.
Mm-hmm.
What?
So my view on that is writing's always the best.
Okay.
Because it connects everything. However, most of our students tire. The physical act of writing takes more cognitive load. The physical act of writing takes concentration on starting here, ending here, meeting, going up to this line, down to this line, blah, blah, blah. The physical act is tiring, is particularly, have you seen how crazy some of our hand grips are with our students?
Yeah.
I mean, some of it we need to correct, absolutely. So while we want to do writing, and writing is the best, we don't want to limit our learning based on the fact that the kid's hand is tired. They're tired of writing. And so I prefer, if I know my students struggle with their hands get tired, it's physically tiring. And it's mentally tiring for our students who struggle with handwriting. We have some that, if they even can get their pencil on the page, but trying to get it within lines and sitting on a line and not floating off, sky.
Mhm.
All of that load, I don't want it to slow down the other goals. So we want to keep the end goal of reading and reading comp in mind. And while writing's best, we might want to save that for the time we spend. Let's spend concentrated time on letter formation, or let's spend that time on actually spelling the words that you have to spell, and not use it, not tire you out with manipulating sounds.
Mhm. Okay.
Any other questions or reflections on what stood out today? Jackie, Tani, Bernie? Nope. Okay, well, shoot me a note if you want to. If you think of something later and say, make sure we cover this. And I will be glad to. So, all right. So thank you, everybody. I know we went a little long today, but thank you. We will cover a little bit of the phonics, the spelling, a little bit of English orthography as to why spelling's so difficult in the early grades. We will talk about handwriting. We're going to talk about more work on high frequency. So as an assignment for tomorrow, if you could pull up some words, 2 or 3 words per person, on ones that we would like to practice introducing these words as if the rest of us were your students. Okay? So thinking about what we talked about with the orthographic mapping the sound to the symbol in sequence. So if you're able to, that would be great. I would love for everyone to have a chance to practice that. We're also going to talk about reading in connected text. We're going to try to cover all that tomorrow with the K to 2 or pre-K to 2 focus. All right.
So are the words that we bring tomorrow, are they necessarily what we're going to use in the classrooms?
Are you thinking about for your son?
Well, either or. Like the words that we choose, should it be words that we would use in the classroom or just in general?
I don't care.
Okay.
We can practice all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. So I will see you tomorrow morning then. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.